Self-love is one of those things we all say we need to cultivate, but like many buzzwords, we often throw it around without really stopping to think about what it actually means. And like love towards someone else, self-love is deeply personal, and it is defined and expressed differently by each and every person. Today I want to share my take on it, what self-love means to me, and of course, as always, offer you practical ways that you can start implementing it into your life as well. At the very least, my hope is that this will get the gears turning for you so you can start defining self-love for yourself and then actually allowing yourself to integrate that definition into your life. Let's get right into it. In my opinion, self-love is showing up for yourself the way that you would show up for someone else you truly care about. It is having your own back and giving yourself the opportunity to learn, grow, and transform. It is taking yourself with the good, the bad, and the ugly, and with a healthy dose of pride in your accomplishments, constructive self-criticism where improvements are needed, and most importantly, giving yourself hundreds of second chances. Essentially what it comes down to is working with yourself as your own best teammate. Now let's get into what that looks like in practice. First of all, and you've heard me say this before, keep your word to yourself. If you can't keep promises to yourself, promise yourself less. Every time you break a promise to yourself, even the small ones, you chip away at your self-trust, and over time that erodes your confidence immensely. When we talk about self-love, we talk about the relationship we have with ourselves. And relationships that have no trust and reliance become toxic and don't feel good and safe. So to be in a better relationship with yourself, start to become a companion you can actually trust and rely on. And of course, we're realists here. You probably won't get it right 100% of the time, but as Ryan Holiday says, you at least want to get it right more often than not. And it's not about being a rigid dictator. It's about showing yourself that you care for and respect yourself enough to show up at least 80% of the time. Another big stumbling block when it comes to self-love is how rigidly we hold on to shame and guilt from past mistakes. Let your mistakes be once-off lessons. We can all agree that we will all make plenty of mistakes during a lifetime, and if you think that that's not true, then congratulations, you've just made your first one. So let's accept that and allow ourselves to let it go once the lesson is learned. In his book, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, I hope I didn't butcher that, I'm sorry, says something so profound. In fact, let me read it to you. I came prepared, you know. So he says, how many times do we pay for one mistake? The human is the only animal on earth that pays 1,000 times for the same mistake. The rest of the animals pay once for every mistake they make, but not us. We have a powerful memory. We make a mistake, we judge ourselves, we find ourselves guilty, and we punish ourselves. If justice exists, then that was enough. We don't need to do it again. But every time we remember, we judge ourselves again. We are guilty again, and we punish ourselves again and again and again. And then he goes on to say, if we have a wife or husband, he or she also reminds us of the mistake, so we can judge ourselves again. Which is beyond the scope of this episode, but I thought it was quite funny. Now, whilst all animals, ourselves included, often suffer long-term consequences from mistakes, we are definitely masters at giving ourselves repeated mental whippings for days, weeks, and even years to come. We replay our mistakes and use them as weapons against ourselves. And I mean, when we truly love someone, we learn to get through the situation and be stronger for it after. So again, be a good partner to yourself. Learn what needs to be learned and then move on from guilt and shame, and be prepared to give yourself 1,000 second chances, because you're not going to get it right the first time, every time. In a webinar we had with Lee Cockrell, he said, do your best and then forgive yourself, and do that every single day. Part of moving away from our mistakes is also changing how we talk to ourselves about them. Have good quality conversations with yourself. I don't believe that in order to show ourselves love, we need to necessarily be nice. We just need to be honest and constructive, because then we'll naturally acknowledge when we've done well, and on the flip side, we give ourselves the opportunity to improve when we mess up. We've all had times when we cringe at ourselves when we think of how we just handled a conversation or situation, for example, and our first instinct is then to either mentally defend ourselves by making the other person or external circumstance wrong, or by scorning ourselves for being such damn idiots. Neither of those paths are constructive. Yes, call yourself an idiot if you want to, but then follow that with a constructive thought that will actually help you grow. Whenever I act in a way I'm not proud of, my second thought, after calling myself an idiot, is to ask why. Why did I just act that way? Why did it trigger me? Sometimes the answer is as silly as, well, I had a donut and a chocolate croissant with 2 coffees this morning and that made me super irritable. And other times I have to dig a bit deeper and uncover that I was insecure in that moment and that made me act childish or angry or whatever. Now, at least I know I should avoid 3 kgs of sugar first thing in the morning, or I have uncovered an insecurity that I can now actively work on. Either way, I give myself an opportunity to improve, and that to me is a way of having my own back, aka showing myself love. Together with having better conversations with yourself, you also want to learn to prioritize and trust your own wisdom. When it comes to external sources, listen, learn, and then make up your own mind. There are so many clever people out there with so many valid things to say, and honestly, I love the times we live in because we have easy access to so many thought leaders. But the downside of that is that we get pulled in so many directions that we completely shut down our own inner voice and wisdom. Please remember, no one is on your exact journey. No one has ever spent as much time with you as you have. So take your own voice and opinion into consideration. In one of Jim Rohn's talks, he once said, learn as much as you can and then make up your own mind. And I love that, because when you do that, you are really honoring yourself and your personal journey. When you read a book or listen to a podcast, including this one, take what resonates, put your own flavor on it, and discard what doesn't fit. It's your life. Show yourself enough love to live it authentically. And by the way, very importantly, this also includes allowing yourself to change and evolve from old convictions. What was once right might not be a fit anymore. So give yourself the freedom to reinvent yourself as many times as you please. So as you can see, to me, self-love isn't about bubble baths and spa days, although they never hurt. It's about showing up for yourself the way you would for someone you truly care about. It's about having your own back, respecting your own voice, allowing yourself to make mistakes, and giving yourself permission to grow without dragging your past behind you. Let that shit go. Okay, I'd love to hear your take on this. What does self-love look like to you? Drop it in the comments. You never know who you might inspire by just sharing your view. And I'm also really keen to expand my horizon on that. Thank you for hanging out with me again today. Have yourself a beautiful rest of your day. And until we meet again, stay curious, stay compassionate, and as always, stay powered by progress. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye.